Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrate the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! Hello, everybody! It is Blade Daily coming at you with another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, a pro wrestling podcast about pro wrestling, and I'm here today with Canada's greatest wrestling podcaster. The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. The Bret Hart of pro wrestling podcasting. Joshi G.
Hey,
Joshi.
Yo, you actually did it. Thank you. I am the female Bret the Hitman Hart, okay?
That's correct.
The biggest fan ever.
That's correct.
Wish I was, I wish I could wrestle like Bret the Hitman Hart, but that's okay.
Well, in your mind, you can. In
my mind, I can. You know, growing up, I did think about trying out professional wrestling. And even now, I tell myself, why not just go to a training school and try wrestling for, a couple of hours? But I feel like my delicate body wouldn't be able to handle it. I'm not sure. I feel I would get hurt right away.
I know that I would be destroyed pretty much immediately. I heard Kevin Steen, talking about his whole life. He wanted to be a pro wrestler, right? And his first day of wrestling school, he trained with Jacques Rougeau. And he went to pro wrestling school and he took his first bump. And it fucked him up. Like, his head was super swimmy. He might have been lightly concussed.
Yeah.
And he tried to quit immediately. Like, he had wanted to do it his entire life. And his mom said, like, fuck that. You can't quit. We just paid all this money.
Oh, good mommy.
You get your ass over there. And he was like, I eventually got used to it. But yeah, no, I would be destroyed. I'm 44 years old. But the good news is I have the physical health of like a 62-year-old. So yeah, basically I'm walking osteoporosis.
Well, that's my issue too. Although I'm 37, I feel like I'm a 75-year-old lady. So the minute I would maybe even touch the ropes, I wouldn't be able to move anymore. That would be my fear now.
Yeah. No, I mean, let's just be, hey, that's why we have this podcast. That's why we have this amazing wrestling community, because we are prematurely ancient.
We are.
We are bags of dust simply waiting to be blown away by the wind. But I did have a blast with my homie P-Pod. If you didn't check that out yet, check it out. Ruthless Pro Wrestling on IWTV. If you love death matches, it sounds like a damn good time. Their show, Scum of the Earth, is this Saturday, July 20th. We got some really cool feedback about the episode. I just want to say, if you are listening to this and you are in the wrestling business and you want to appear on Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, hit us up, sitdownshutupmarkout@gmail.com. We can make it happen, baby. We can make it happen. I happen to know some people.
That was a great interview, by the way. I did listen to it.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. Peapod is a cool guy.
He is really cool.
And we could have chopped it up for hours. Like, he was a super fun dude to talk to. We've been starting off the show recently with what have we been watching, and I can't say I'm still watching Pluto. I can only watch one episode at a time because I have a form of epilepsy that show messes with a little bit. So, like, there's certain motion stuff. I have to watch it one episode at a time. So I haven't watched it recently, but I did go back. I got the urge to go back and rewatch some pandemic era New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's right. When I get a hankering for clap crowds, when I get a hankering for people constantly getting injured and not being able to be the champion, I go back and I watch New Japan, baby. And so I went back and I watched the match where Shingo beat Okada for the second time vacant IWGP World Heavyweight Championship after Ospreay got hurt. And it is a fucking great match. Jesus Christ. I forgot how good it was. Shingo versus Kazuchika Okada. Unfucking believable. Really good match. And then I was feeling real saucy. And I went back and I watched the match from almost exactly a year later where Jay White beat Kazuchika Okada for the IWGP World Championship. God damn. Those two have great chemistry.
They do. Number
one. And two, Jay White. I sing the praises of Jay White from the mountaintops. He's a fucking great wrestler, man. He's a great wrestler. It made me a bit sad that Jay isn't quite to the level I feel he should be in AEW by now, if I'm being honest. I thought a lot of people were freaking out last year unfairly about that. And it is good that he is regularly on TV and stuff. I love that. But at this point, I would hope he'd kind of be a little more in the main event singles mix. I hope it changes soon. I'm not saying he needs the belt necessarily, but a good push, like a really good singles feud. Something. They're saying he's injured. I thought it was a storyline. I'm not sure what's going on there, but when he's back, can we please get Jay White on the level his talent deserves, please? Please, Tony Khan, please. Joshi, thoughts?
But it was a storyline too, but I'm not so sure now. Either way, Jay White is amazing, and I want to see him get a big singles push too. Like, I don't care if you want to put him in a feud with Pac for a while or someone else like Penta. Just make him do something, as a singles competitor. Like, I do like BCC Gold, Bang Bang Gang, all of that. But I mean, the thing is, Jay White is a main eventer guy. I do want to see him doing a little bit more. Completely agree with you. And as for the Shingo Okada match, I do remember that. So after that match, Okada had taken some time off from New Japan, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. That was that I think his child was being born. And
that's so right.
That was right before that. And that was kind of his farewell match.
Yeah. Okay.
He takes a Made in Japan on the fucking floor. It's so brutal.
Okada's a special cat.
He is. He's one of like the most underrated big bump takers in the biz. Oh, yeah. This dude takes big fucking bumps. He just makes sure to only take them in really big moments.
Which is a good thing because they stand out more, right?
This motherfucker took an avalanche dragon suplex from Kenny Omega.
Yeah, he did.
From the top rope.
Man.
Avalanche, dragon, suplex. Insane.
I can't freaking wait to see Okada, Omega, and AEW at some point. I want that match. But as for what I've been watching, I did finish Sailor Moon Crystal.
Nice.
I enjoyed it a lot. The third season was really epic, actually. They did a really good job with Sailor Saturn and Sailor Neptune and Uranus. I actually thought they did a better job with those three in comparison to the original anime.
That sounded so oddly sexual.
I know it, but
Sailor Neptuning Uranus.
They are actually a couple. So,
well, hey, there you go.
Sailor Uranus. She. I guess now you would consider them they, because Uranus represents both genders.
Okay.
So it's interesting. So Neptune and Uranus are a non-binary relationship. Yeah.
Very cool.
I haven't watched the movie that came out right after Sailor Moon Eternal. There's 2 parts. I plan to. I just needed to take a little break because I feel I'm the type of person that when I start watching something obsessively, I reach a point where I have to tell myself, okay, it's enough. You need, or else I just don't take it in as well. And, it's kind of like when you marathon a TV show, and I feel that's why Netflix now they're starting to break some seasons for shows like Stranger Things, for example, in 2 parts.
Yeah.
Because when you marathon it, right? So it's like, oh, you're watching episode after episode after episode. You talk about it for a few days and then you move on to the next thing that you can marathon, right?
I think it makes everything more forgettable.
Exactly. That's it. Yeah. And then I watched The Tale of Princess Kaguya. So it's a
right.
Studio Ghibli movie. And I don't want to spoil it, but oh my God, that movie made me think so much. And the ending broke my heart. I had to write about it because I had so many feelings.
Did you journal about it or?
I did.
Nice.
I did it. It really stuck with me.
Nice.
So really, I'm not sure how a small kid could watch this film, like a really young kid, because there's so much to take in. And that's kind of what I really like about Ghibli. Like even with Spirited Away, which we've discussed, these kind of movies feel like they're meant for an older audience, which is really cool because you think Disney, right? I mean, not now, but back in the day, Disney was catered more to kids. And I guess when I started watching the Ghibli movies, I thought it was going to be the same, but no, not at all. Ghibli is so different. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I haven't seen everything they've made, but I've seen Spirited Away, I've seen Princess Mononoke, I've seen Howl's Moving Castle. I think I've seen something else. But those, I mean, they're just incredibly powerful movies. And yeah, I think they are a little more adult themed than your average animated movie from those eras, for sure. For sure.
And the hand-drawn animation is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my God. Oh no, it is. And the way that they mix medias too sometimes is really beautiful. You see it very occasionally, but it's just gorgeous.
So beautiful.
Yeah. You know what else was beautiful, Joshi G? Was the feedback we got on our last episode about our most underrated and most overhated wrestlers. And if you all stick around till the end of this goddamn thing, we're going to read what you guys left for us. We talked about Vader. We talked about Lex Luger. We talked about who is the other fucking person? Sid. Yeah, I fucking said Sid. But we're going to read yours. You guys are going to be basically fucking celebrities now. All of you. If you comment, you're basically fucking famous. But you know what was actually famous was last night's episode of Dynamite because I'm officially allowed to enjoy it because it drew a good rating. Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
I haven't been able to like AEW because they've been rated a little lower lately. It's been terrible that the product, even though I enjoy it so much, is so bad because it hasn't been highly rated.
It's clearly terrible. In all seriousness, this was something I wanted to quickly address. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think AEW fans, as a fellow one of your people, sometimes I can get carried away with the things that I read online. And it is true that there's a lot of negativity and tribalism floating all over every social media platform. So you have X, obviously, which I don't use, but I know how tribalistic and toxic it is. You have Instagram with the comments at times. I block a lot of people. And honestly, I'm very disappointed to say, but I've seen this on Cage Match as well. This was a website that I used to love a lot because if I was interested in a match, I wanted to know how it did. Is it worth watching? I would go there and, read what people had to say. And I used to use that as a tool on choosing matches that I thought were worth watching. And now it's become very tribalistic. And even if you look at a wrestler that is really, really good and should be praised, you have like really harsh comments and like a 0 score, which is very unfortunate. So there are trolls and there is hate on that side as well. But I think it's just really important to be mindful that unfortunately there are people online that like to be shitty and that doesn't reflect what you're passionate about at all. you know that AEW has good stories right now. You're not an idiot, and I'm talking to you, the AEW fan. So don't worry about what certain people are saying online, or like this robotic narrative that AEW doesn't have stories and that it's not good. That's not true. There's no actual ground to support that. And like, look, another thing that I've noticed is that whenever Dynamite's ratings are a bit on the lower end, haters react right away. When it's the other company, oh well, they're just rated, and oh, there was this. There's always a justification. At the end of the day, it's just tribalism, and it's just hate for a company simply for existing. So just ignore it. Enjoy AEW. It's great, and we love it for what it is. We don't want it to change. So yeah, just keep your head up and stay away from the negative stuff. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, and I think, to touch on what you're saying, like, to a degree, you could say, like, the thing that you love, that you watch and you enjoy it, is good, despite whatever the crazy number of bots and trolls and whatever online try to tell you otherwise. And we've talked about this on the show one time before, but we get caught up on words a little bit in the wrestling community. It's okay to be tribalistic to a degree, right? Like, I prefer AEW, so I watch AEW. I don't watch the other company, right? But there are people who prefer that company who watch that company. I just don't comment on their shows because I didn't see them, right? I don't make it a point to try to suffocate the joy other people feel from watching that product. Like, it doesn't matter to me at all if they had a great show or a terrible show. I could care less. What I want is for the thing I spend my time watching and podcasting about to be great. And in my opinion, it's at a fucking all-time high creatively right now. We're about to jump into that. Why don't we?
Let's do it.
Good God. Last night, Joshi G, episode 250, Dynamite.
Already. Wow. Time flies.
I know. I've seen every single episode of Dynamite without fail. I've watched just about all of them live. It's the appointment television of my life.
Same.
I am that kind of no life having guy. But it opened with a match between two relatively obscure wrestlers that no one's ever heard of, William Ospreay and MJF. Yes. MJF versus Will Ospreay wrestled for 59 minutes and 58 fucking seconds to kick off.
So ridiculous. Anyway, go on.
Dynamite last night. Unfucking believable match. One of the greatest in the history of Dynamite. For all I know, it might be the greatest match in the history of Dynamite. I'm going to let the dust settle on it a little bit, just so I'm not going recency bias. I would say my all-time favorites are like Kenny versus Danielson. That draw at Arthur Ashe was super, super good.
It was.
And Hangman versus Danielson, the draw they did, the 60-minute draw, that was fucking great. Adam Cole versus MJF when they went to a 30-minute draw was great. But this is right up there in that same territory, and I love that fucking shitbag MJF sneaks in the win with 2 seconds left, and they have it on the Tron that there was 2 seconds. Unbelievable. Joshi, what were you thinking watching this thing?
Oh, honestly, once it passed the 30-minute mark, I said, okay, this is going to be an hour match. For sure, an hour-long match. And I thought it was really interesting because Ospreay and MJF, they wrestle very different styles. And you hear this argument that MJF is decent in the ring. He's not the best. I've heard this argument, and I've always said that's complete bullshit. MJF is one of the top wrestlers in the world. And in this match, he looked as good as Ospreay. Sure, Ospreay did more of the high flying stuff, and MJF doesn't do that kind of stuff, and that's okay. That's not the point. It kind of reminded me of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels back in the day, where they wrestled really different styles, but they were really compatible in the ring. It made sense. And, you know, Bret hardly ever went on the top rope. And when he did, it was never a moonsault or Hurricane Rana or any of that stuff. He never did that. But he looked really good in those matches, as good as Shawn.
He always did, yeah.
He always did. So I felt the same way about Ospreay MJF. It just seemed like they were meant to meet. They were meant for each other. And so I told myself, because actually I initially said that MJF is going to win this match. I thought maybe Don would interfere or simply MJF would cheat. So once it got to 55 minutes, let's say, I said, okay, this is going an hour. It's going to be a draw, right? I think most people, you know, that's what they assume.
I thought that at about 50 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, okay, well, why would this be an hour long match if it's not going to end in a draw, right? That's basically where your mind goes. And we've seen it in AEW before with Hangman Danielson, as you said, and Omega Danielson, which are two of my favorite matches. So that's how my mind was operating. And then, as you said, it reached 59 minutes and 58 seconds, right? Okay. And MJF cheats and he wins. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I can't freaking believe it.
It was kind of funny because when MJF's laying on the mat and he's like on his like stomach. Yeah. And I see what he's doing. Like he's reaching for the ring.
For the ring, yeah.
In his tights.
I knew it.
Right?
Yeah.
And the announcers I don't think they were quite picking up on it, to be honest.
They didn't. You know, it was just a really special match because it never got boring.
Never.
It kept you interested. And there were parts in the match that really stood out that were, you know, amusing. For example, when MJF is saying, I'm the smartest wrestler in the world, and Ospreay just hits him with the hidden blade. I was laughing so hard at it. It was such a great moment. I'm never going to forget that. And also when Ospreay and MJF were fighting in, you know, where the audience was, and the little girl starts beating up MJF.
And then MJF flips her off. I love that. Oh my God.
Another classic moment.
Yeah, that's an all-timer moment. Yeah.
There were just moments that we're never going to forget. And for me, it wasn't just the match itself, because obviously the match was tremendous, one of the best AEW matches I've ever seen. It was the fact that you can remember these small details that were simply there to entertain you and make you laugh. And I appreciated that about the match. You know, it wasn't like when we look at like Danielson Hangman and Omega Danielson, awesome matches, don't get me wrong. But if you were to ask me, what do you remember specifically from those two matches, I would probably respond, shoot, I need to rewatch them, you know? But with Ospreay MJF, I can say, oh my God, I remember when MJF said he's the smartest wrestler in the world and Ospreay did that. And MJF, he got beaten up by a girl, you know, so it stood out because of the moment. And one thing that I have to say, we gotta give it to MJF. He is so good at being a heel. This is where this is what he has to do. It's where he belongs. And actually, my dad, he watched the match, and he's not usually a big fan of 1 hour long matches. He was one of those people actually that would say, "Oh, MJF in the ring, he's a whatever." Today, we spoke about the match. Well, we spoke about Dynamite in general, and he says the best thing that happened on Dynamite last night was Ospreay MJF. He said, "What a freaking match!" And I said, "Oh, Dad," I'm like, "Well, it was an hour." He's like, "Yeah, it was long." He's like, "But I loved it. I loved everything about it." MJF is such a tremendous wrestler. I'm like, Dad, finally you say it.
Well, it's indisputable after you watch that match. Yeah. I think the first time I realized MJF was super good was actually at Revolution 2021, maybe. He wrestled Jungle Boy, and they had a amazing match together. And I do remember then that same year at Full Gear, he wrestled Darby one-on-one, and they had an amazing match. It was the kickoff to the show, and they had just like a fucking great match. I might be getting the year wrong on some of this stuff, but that was when Max caught my eye as a worker. And then after the Iron Man match with Danielson, it was just undeniable. Like, nobody could dispute that he was great in the ring. Last night, what you saw, in my opinion, and I will keep this as short as I possibly can, was two incredible workers who are matched with their, like, wrestling soulmate. I knew that this would be good. I didn't realize that these guys were literally carved out of stone for each other. And their cardio and how crazy they were going 50 minutes in, 55 minutes in, unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen guys just go and go and go and go. There was one basic rest spot with Will's shoulder during a commercial break, and that was it. The rest of the match is all motion. And these guys, man, you know we're getting Will Ospreay versus MJF 2 at Wembley.
All in, right? Yeah.
Oh, my God. That place is going to be unglued for that match. But what a fucking match. What a moment. You're right. I think there were more memorable moments from this match than you might say from... I can tell you, I remember Omega dragon suplexing Danielson on the ramp. That I do remember. But I would have to go back and watch the match for the other stuff. Yeah. And there's so many things. And then MJF with the mask at the end of it.
That's what I was going to say, with the oxygen mask.
Oh.
Another moment that...
Oh, MJF is you're
never going to forget.
International champion. You know he's going to be an insufferable piece of shit with that title for as long as he has it. Incredible stuff. Incredible.
And I Blade Daily, one last thing. It was unpredictable.
Very. Oh, my God.
We thought it was
once they got to 50 minutes, there was no fucking way there could be a finish.
Yeah.
And they set you up to believe that. They wanted you to believe that. That's why they had Justin Roberts do the time call that there was only 1 minute left.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in AEW to this point, every time there's that call, you know it's a draw.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't have even been upset if it was a draw.
No, me neither. But the way they did it was so clever.
Yes.
And as you said, now Ospreay has to win the belt back. So it makes sense that it will be him and MJF at All In. I'm still wondering what's going to happen with Pac, but I guess we'll see. So that's another variable. But hey, it's good because it keeps you guessing. There are some people that think MJF's going to face Daniel Garcia. You know, not everyone's convinced it's MJF Ospreay. And you know what? That's a good thing. Keep people guessing. That's what the fans asked for. They said, we don't want it to be so predictable. Okay, well, it's not now.
Here we go.
Here we
go. I think MJF and Ospreay has to happen at Wembley. I don't know how Pac fits into the situation right now.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do a triple threat. I think that would be a big mistake. It takes a lot of the heat out of the match for me. If they make it a triple threat, it just seems like a huge mistake.
I'm with you.
I would rather see Pac in a high-profile match and do his international shot before or after. Like, I don't even care if MJF's the champion. They're at the point now where, like, Ospreay and MJF don't need a belt to fight over. But this definitely makes that belt much more interesting than it has been. We also got another incredibly unexpected treat last night, and that is Thirsty Kazuchika Okada.
Oh my God.
Thirsty Okada.
That was funny.
Kazuchika Okada has a crush on the CEO. Oh my God. So hot. So hot in here.
I died.
Unbelievable. I love Mercedes with the Elite. I'm loving that.
Me too.
And she keeps appearing with them. And I'm like, dude, make her a member of the Elite, please.
At this point, why not?
She has to be.
So well,
come on.
You know?
Come on. Kenny's not there. Hangman's like a fringe member.
Yeah. He's not dedicated to them at all.
No, and he doesn't embrace their attitude the way, Kazuchika and the Bucks and Perry with Mercedes. Come on. It's perfect.
Let's freaking do it.
Hangman isn't there for life. He's just there for now.
Exactly.
I think he'll be gone after Blood and Guts. I don't think he'll be in the Elite very long.
No, I don't think he will be either. So you need a fifth member. Add Mercedes.
And so we get Thirsty Okada, which was a gift from the gods, okay? And then we get more developments in the feud between Mercedes and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. This was fucking fun. Very fun. Nyla Rose, Mercedes Moné have a very, very fun match. I loved what did Nyla scream at Mercedes when she caught her? Oh, she catches her. She tries to jump on her, and Nyla goes, "Have you lost your mind?"
Your mind. That made me laugh so hard. I love Nyla. She's so funny.
Nyla as a baby face is the way to go. Yeah. Run with Nyla as a baby face. We've been demanding this for years.
Yeah.
And look, I don't need Nyla to be your champion. I just need Nyla on my TV. She's great.
Yes.
Fantastic. Mercedes and she had a great match. Mercedes is doing a lot of little things super good right now. When Nyla's music hit, the look on Mercedes' face, she looked very scared, at the belts, I'm not letting you go. She looked like she was scared. It was awesome. Mercedes is doing amazing work right now. She pulls the glove out.
Yeah, that was good.
To taunt, and it has nails on it, by the way, which I thought was a very nice extra touch. The glove says CEO on it, and she tries to do the lockjaw on Nyla Rose. She doesn't put it on correctly, and Nyla just bites her fingers super hard. I love that as a touch. Mercedes is really playing the heel now, and this is where she belongs. Much like Maxwell, Mercedes is just better as a heel.
She is. She's killing it in AEW. All her matches have been really good.
Yep.
She hasn't had a bad match. I thought that Mercedes and Nyla put on a pretty good match. And I mean, I was a little bit bummed that a lot of it took place during picture-in-picture, but what can you do? That happens. Yeah. Nonetheless, it was a great, smaller opponent versus a larger opponent type of match. I really liked that after the match, when Mercedes left the ring, she saw a fan with a Sting mask holding DMD greater than CEO sign.
Yes. And they had showed that sign earlier in the night, too.
Yeah. And she took the sign away and tore it apart. And then the fan took off their mask, and it turned out
the fan pushed her down.
Yeah, pushed her down, removed their mask, and it was Britt.
Yeah.
And I love that. What I found really funny was Mercedes was running away from her, and security is holding Mercedes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Mercedes is running away, and then they're like, "Oh, never mind. It's Baker that we need to hold back."
They turn around and they start. Oh, no, wait, it's you.
What the hell are you doing?
Well, I love that the Elite got her banned from the backstage, so Britt finds another way to be there. I thought that was awesome. I think they're going to keep Britt out of the ring until Wembley, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
Probably a smart idea.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense because people want to see her back. DMD has more heat and more energy behind her than I can remember her having since 2022.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so pumped for her. This is so awesome.
She's one of those wrestlers that while she was on TV, after a certain point, you kind of wanted to see less of her. and you wanted the other woman to get more time. And then there were a lot of fans online saying, oh, well, we want less Brit, push the other woman. And what happened to her, the mini stroke, really sad, really tragic. But even if that didn't happen, I do think that her being away from television was a good thing, because now that she returned, right, the fans are really into her again, and they're enjoying her running after Mercedes and seeing her wrestle Mercedes at All In. They're really looking forward to that. So it just goes to show that when the fans start to get tired of you and you start feeling stale, it's not a bad idea to take some time off. Again, I know in her situation, she was injured, she had the stroke, but I just mean in general, time off when you've been on TV for so long, it helps. It helps you come back and freshen up, and the audience responds to that really well.
The person who's going to benefit from it when they come back, like in a more full-time role, is Jon Moxley right now.
Right.
I love Jon Moxley. I'm a huge fan of his. He's not my favorite wrestler, but I think he's the greatest type of his type in the world right now. That kind of brawler, shoot, scientific kind of MMA, almost kind of inspired. I think that John's the best at what he does, but he's been on TV so much the last 5 years, and AEW needs to give him a break. And yeah. I think he's going to come back bigger and better than ever, and put him right. You can program him back into the world title picture when he comes back, because the fans will have missed him for some time. And that's, we talked about this a while ago, cycling. It really, really makes sense to do. But something that I would like to cycle out of existence.
Oh,
Joshi,
boy. Yes, let's discuss this, please.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is both a goat and a woat. Okay? Because Steve Austin gave us some of the best shit ever, but he gave us one thing that is the absolute worst thing in the history of professional wrestling, besides Vince McMahon, and that is the what chant. Little Rock, you really fucked up last night. You were doing so good. You were so alive for MJF versus Ospreay. We get the first in-ring promo from one of the most exciting performers in our business. It's now our business. Yes, somehow I'm affiliated in the wrestling business. Mariah May makes her entrance looking almost identical to Timeless Toni Storm, doing the thing that a lot of people predicted she was going to do. She proceeded to cut what I felt was an incredible, very, very, very good promo. And I loved what she said. She said, "You saw it coming the whole time."
We did.
She said, "I saw it. I knew it was coming the whole time. But I let it continue because I realized I could do it on the biggest stage." That is a very convincing motive to me. Okay?
And she said she was having a lot of fun.
And she was having fun.
Yeah.
Stringing Tony along. She cut a great promo in this fucking stupid ass crowd. Sorry, guys. If you live in Little Rock and you weren't doing it, I don't know what to tell you, but that crowd pissed me off. They did pull it together towards the end of the promo. And that's a testament to Mariah, who was never shaken by the what shit. She just ignored it and kept going. But goddamn, that was a very good promo. And set up what's going to be an amazing match. And they are telling an amazing story. I loved it. And my hat, I'm not even wearing a hat. It's off to her, though. Okay, I didn't wear a hat today in honor of Mariah May.
I like the promo a lot as well. It's time to bury the what chants. Completely agree with you. This chant should have been buried in like 2005. I don't know why it still exists. It's really annoying.
And then Dynamite